Hello. So already we have discussed our last 3 classes on hernia and the beginning of the scrotum, and today we will start with the pathology related with scrotum. Among that, one of the common pathology found in pediatric age groups, that is undescended testis. And regarding this, already in the last class, in the last few slides, we discussed regarding the development of the testis and its descent. Normal, that is normal descent. And today we'll discuss about undescended testis. So what is undescended testis? An undescended testis is one which has failed to descend to the scrotum, and it is retained at any point along the normal path of its descent. So in the embryology part, we discussed that testis at the 8 weeks of life, or even 8 weeks, begin to start at the lumbar regions, and thereby, while the interaction period increasing, and the testis develops and it gradually descends down along its normal pathway from the left lumbar region to iliac fossa, then to the deep inguinal rings, to the inguinal canal, after that superficial inguinal rings, then upper part of the scrotum, and ultimately it will reach the bottom of the scrotum in case of a normal testis. But whenever there is any failure of descent and it is retained anywhere along this normal pathway, then it is called as undescended testis. So this undescended testis is more common among the premature baby. Whenever the baby is born before 7 months or 8 months, because normally in a normal baby, as a part of normal development test or descent of the testis is at the inguinal canal at the 7 months, or at the end of 7 months, or near the beginning of the 8 months, testis in the superficial inguinal rings, or at the 8 months it is upper part of the scrotum. Similarly, so if the baby is born at this period, so baby will have undescended testis, but not in all. In some cases, by this time testis reaches even in a premature baby to the scrotum. So in premature baby, 30% male baby are having this undescended testis. Then in a mature baby, normal mature baby, whenever it is born at the full terms, then only in 4% mature baby there is undescended testis. And in this mature baby, spontaneous descent occurs by the 1 year of age. So that's why whatever incidence is present of this undescended testis at the age of birth, even that incidence is decreasing or come down at the age of 1 year. Only after 1 year of age, whatever undescended testis is found, that is usually doesn't come down, and by these times, at the age of 1 year, the incidence is 0.8%. That is 8 per 1,000 baby are having undescended testis. But otherwise, premature baby it is almost 30%. In these cases also, by the 1 year, incidence is coming down. So if you consider the side of undescended testis, then it is more common in the right side, 50%. Left side undescended testis is 30%, and in 20% cases it is bilateral. So why it is more common on the right side? Because normally, as a descent of the testis, the left side testis comes down earlier, descends earlier than the right side, and right side testis descends a little late, and that's why incidence of undescended testis is also more in case of right side. Then another terms regarding undescended testes, that is cryptorchidisms. So what is cryptorchidisms? When both the testes are absent in the scrotums, this condition is called cryptorchidisms. So where the term is derived from Greek word cryptos, and that means hidden. So cryptorchidism term should be used in case of bilateral absence of testis in the scrotums. Otherwise, for one side, this term is not proposed. Now there is another term that is called as anorgasms. So these terms should be used whenever there is complete agenesis of testes. There is absence of the testes, but that doesn't mean that there is no testes. In case of undescended testes, in that cases, the testis is present somewhere along the normal descent pathway. But in case of anorgasms, testis is agenesis. That's why there is absence of testis in the whole pathway. There is no such undescence. Even the spermatic cord is present after the scrotum, but testis is not developed. That is agenesis. Anorgasms. If there is outside agenesis of the testis, in that case, that will be called as bilateral anorgasms. Or if it is present only in one side, it is called as monorgasms. So monorgasms, whenever present in the right sides, that is many times associated with even absence of the right-sided kidney as well as ureters. So that is called as right-sided monorgasm syndromes. Now, in those cases, mainly anorgasms or monorgasms, even though testis agenesis is there, but the baby acquires the characters of males. Probably the testis development up to the 4 months of intrauterine life was normal, and by this time, whatever testosterone is released, that produces the male pictures, masculine pictures. But only after 4 months of intrauterine life, there may be infarction of the testis because of intrauterine torsion of the testis or defect in the blood vessels, which will lead to agenesis of the testis. But picture is the term still presents as masculine pictures. Now the pathology of an undescended testis, whatever senses occurs. So number one is growth of the testis. So normally you will remember that scrotal temperature is 1 degree centigrade cooler than the abdomen temperature. And that's why whatever normal spermatogenesis occurs in a male person, that is comparatively lower temperatures. So if the testis is inside the abdomen due to high body temperatures, the proper spermatogenesis doesn't occur. So proper spermatogenesis cannot take place in abdominal cavity because of this high temperatures. And spermatogenic tubules are of diminished size and few in number at the 6 years of age. While the baby grows, initial times at the time of birth or at the age of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, there is presence of spermatogenic tubules, but gradually these are diminished in size up to the 6 years of age. But after 6 years of age, these spermatogenic tubules, which produce this spermatozoa, are less in numbers or even maybe absent. So histologically, the epithelial elements are invasive, and by the age of 16 years, irreversible destructive changes have occurred, which halt the spermatogenesis and limit the production of androgens to around half of the normal. So this age is having importance. If you know this better, then only the decision can of the treatments of undescended testis can be taken. Because up to the 6 years of age, Normal this spermatogenesis is almost maintained, but after 6 years of age, it is decreasing lesser, and by the age of 6 years, it is almost damage occurs, which is irreversible damage. So if you do some treatments, surgical treatment or whatever, that will not be effective. Or even the androgens, the testosterone productions will also reduce. But in initial stage, spermatogenic tubules are damaged. Normally the testosterone producing cells or androgen producing cells are intact. But after the 16 years of age, by the times the child develops the secondary sexual characters, means attain the puberty, all the secondary sexual characters develops. But only after 16 years that may be happened. And another sentence, that is after 6 years, again another, along with irreversible destructive changes of the spermatogenetic tubules, there is fibrosis in between the tubules. And again, whenever puberty is increasing, whatever normal size of testis presents in the inguinal canals or even inside the abdomen, that is comparatively smaller because of fibrosis, and it is heavy, soft. Then another cells, that is internal secretogenesis. So even the testis undescended inside the abdomen or in the inguinal canals, lytic cells, which are mainly responsible for the administration reactors, are not affected by the body testis in the initial stage, but later on, due to chronic progressive destruction of the testes, these lytic cells may be also affected. But not by the temperatures, because of indirect effect of the fibrosis. So internal secretory function is easily maintained up to the 16 years of age. Then epididymis, which is remaining separated from the testis with a long mesorecum. So mesorecum, that is mesotestis, or which is formed by the gubernacle testis, that is normally long, and due to this, a condition that is called as torsion of the testis is most common in case of undescended testis. Then presence of hernia ulcer in 90% cases. Remember, a child born with undescended testis in one side, suppose, or even two sides, there may be no treatment, but after a few years, there is presence of inguinal hernia, or that is congenital hernia. The presence of this inguinal hernia is because of presence of this persistent processus vaginalis along with the undescended testis. So that's why whenever we go for operation in an undescended testis, we should go for always herniatomy. Otherwise, only bringing down the testis without dissecting or without doing dissection of the hernial sac will not be benefit. Later on, that will develop your hernia. So even without operations, while the age increasing, a patient with undescended testis may suffer from inguinal hernia, and that is because of presence of processus vaginalis, which is a pouch of fold of peritoneums coming down along the gubernacle testis, along the testis. So this normal part. So in 90% cases, it is presence. Then also many times along with undescended testis, as it is a congenital disorder, so other congenital anomaly should search up in the body among the urinated abnormalities, mainly the kidney, ureter, bladder, or even the penile congenital anomaly may be there. Then last important thing, that is chance of malignancy. So this is not important, this is most dangerous cells in the testes. Other cells are not life-threatening, like development of the hernia or urinary abnormalities or even torsals. But the chance of malignancy is more common in an undescended testis than a normal testis. And usually it is 30%, not 30 times more chance of develop malignancy than a normal testis. And that's why whenever a patient is having undescended testis, even they may present late, where operation is not beneficial. During that case, if possible, we should go for orchidectomy earlier in absence of malignancy, or even if patient doesn't give consent for orchidectomy, in that case, testis should be brought down to the scrotums, even at the age of 20 or 30 years. Idea of doing orchidopexy after 16 years is not for helping fertility or whatever, mainly, or even not to prevent malignancy, because after the age of 6 years, the chance of malignancy again going on increases. Even before 6 years, if orchidopexy testis is brought down to the scrotums, chance of malignancy may be less. But after 6 years, it is increasing, and by the time 6 years, there is no use of doing orchidopexy with the aspect of benefits of fertility. Only malignancy can be detected earlier if the testis is brought down to the scrotums. Because in a normal testis or undescended testis brought up to the scrotums, whenever there is any cells in the testis, like malignant cells, that can be detected easily by the even patients, or early diagnosis is helpful. But there are even patients we are getting in hospitals many times. A patient is having a lump in the lower abdomen, right side or left side. On doing sonography, everything is normal. Intra-abdominal organs or pelvic organs, like bladder is normal, kidney normal, or there is no such thing, but only a huge lump is there. So that's why in a case of abdomen, the genitalia examination is also important. Scrotum should be also at this examination. So in those type of cases, whenever we examine the scrotums, patient may not give the history. Patient will come to us with a lump abdomen. If we find first, our findings will be there with absence of testis in one side or even both sides. Undescended testis, yes. So Indian undescended testis having a lump at the medial tubes in the lower abdomen, right side or left sides, without any known origins of internal or abdominal structures, probably it is a case of malignant tumor of the undescended testis. So that should be always kept in mind regarding a lump in the lower abdomen, right side or left sides, which have no origins, because other organs, pelvic organs, normal. Only on examinations you may find that there is absence of testis. Then our diagnosis should go towards the undescended testis with malignancy. Now, what are the types of undescended testis? So, number one is intra-abdominal testis, in which testis is extraperitoneal or even retroperitoneal, but the testis push the peritoneum inside the abdomen. On doing laparotomy, it seems that testis is intraperitoneal, intra-abdominal. It is actually retroperitoneal testis. Second one is inguinal variety. It is mainly arrested in the inguinal canals, from the level of the deep inguinal rings up to the superficial inguinal rings. Third one is in the superficial inguinal pulse. It is a space, subperitoneal space below the your superficial facade or deep layer of the superficial, that is membranous layers, space just outer to the superficial inguinal range. When testis comes down to the superficial inguinal range, it is arrested at this pulse, just below the skin. Only outer layer skin as well as this membranous layers. Next one is the lumbar testis. What testis is developed, but it is arrested at the sites of origins, at the level of lumbar vertebra L1 to 3 like this. The testis is not coming down further. And in another group, testis may come down, but it may be arrested at the level of iliac group just before entering into the inguinal range. That is iliac testis. Then another is at the superficial inguinal range. So these two are different terms. One is superficial inguinal range and the other is superficial inguinal pulse. And number 7 is cotal testis. Otherwise in a normal position testis is cotal, but in normal positions the testis is reaching to the bottom of the scrotum normally. But in some cases testis is at the root of the scrotum or upper part of the scrotum. That is, in that case, this cotal testis, but variety of undescended testis, where the scrotum is pulling down below the testis. So these are different undescended testis, starting from lumbar regions. You just remember lumbar, then intra-abdominal, iliac, then superficial inguinal, means inguinal, superficial inguinal, as well as your scrotal variety of testis, according to the site of arrest. Now regarding clinical features, so yes, usually yes, is just directly you can say to be at the time of birth it presents, but many a times many of the children are brought at the age of 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, like that. That is one testis is absent. Because diagnosis is late, even parents are not having any notice, because another set is there, probably this set also is there, which is not palpable like that. So, patient with undescended testis may come to the hospital at any age group, mainly pediatric age group, as well as adolescent age groups, as well as even middle age groups. And by this time they have to come. Or another group of patients may present as presence of swelling in the inguinal regions. On examination, where it will be found as inguinal hernia, congenital type of inguinal hernia with absence of testis in that sense. So here, obviously, absence of one or more testis in the scrotum in one group, one side, this may be right side, left sides, or there may be absence of both testis, which will describe as cryptorganisms. Then another important points in case of undescended testis, where scrotum is not developed, as because testis is not coming. So there are some other conditions that you will find, that is called as retractile testis. So in the retractile testis, what happens? Scrotum is fully developed. Testis initially, or even parents may bring the child with absence of testis, but in sometimes testis comes down also to the bottom of the scrotum and then touching because of chemosteric contractions, or due to exposure of the pole because of stimulations, or chemosteric muscles, the testis is pulled up even after the inguinal canals in a normal basis. But that retractile testis can be palpated and can be squeezed out to the scrotum, where scrotum is fully developed. Otherwise, they may be brought to us as a undescended testis. So that's why we'll have to exclude a retractile testis or an undescended testis. So just you simply remember 2 points. One is scrotum is well developed in the case of retractile testis. In the case of undescended testis, scrotum is not well developed. Then testis may not be palpable whenever they are brought to us in both two cases, but in retractile testis, it can be palpated in the inguinal canal or even at the level of the superficial inguinal rings, and that can be squeezed down to the bottom of the scrotums. Where in case of undescended testis, testis is palpable only at the root of the scrotum or at the superficial inguinal pouch or ring levels, or in case of average size testis, in case of inguinal rings. But beyond this, testis is not palpable. But sometimes testis may be at the level of deep inguinal rings. Only on cupping it may come down to the inguinal canal, then again testis. So these were depending upon different type of testis, presentation will be different. And many times they comes at the adult life with the history of infertility. Otherwise, their secondary sexual characters are also known because of this normal androgen secretions by the Leydig cells, as well as even they are even normal libido. But after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years of marriage, they may come as with history of infertility. In that case, on examination of the genitalia, only you may find an undescended testis. Because patient will not complain that he is not having one testis or even 2 testes. So that's another presentation. So one group may come in adult age with infertility. Then another group, even at adult age, may come with presence of indirect inguinal. So on clinical examinations, hernia will be present along with there will be absence of testis in the scrotums. So whenever on examination there is absence of testis in the scrotums, a differential diagnosis should be always kept in mind. One is ectopic testis and the other is retractile testis. So retractile testis, already I have discussed regarding the differentiating point from the undescended testis, and ectopic testis that we will discuss after finishing this undescended testis. Simply remember ectopic testis, where also testis is not in the scrotums, but not like undescended testis in the normal pathway. It is always in abnormal pathway from its normal distance. So that is ectopic type of testis. Different sites are there that we will discuss in our next topics to the undescended testis. Okay, then associated hernia, other hernias should be also examined. Then how to investigate in case of undescended testis. So mainly patient with undescended testis where testis cannot be even palpated. Otherwise, in a case of undescended testis, whenever it is present at the top of the scrotum, root of the scrotums, or at the superficial inguinal level, or at the inguinal canals, we can palpate it and we can diagnose undescended testis with presence of testis at this site. But whenever testis is intra-abdominal or lumbar or iliac testis, in that case, we'll have to do some investigations to detect or to locate the position of the undescended testis. So, number of common investigations easily available. Cost effective also, that is ultrasonography. But again, ultrasonography cannot give the 100% diagnosis or cannot cover the 100% testis. Only 60 to 70% undescended testis can be located by ultrasonography in the abdomen or lumbar regions or in the iliac groups. So if by ultrasonography we cannot detect the testis, then we'll have to go for CT scans. Okay, by this time you just wait, already 1 minute time is there for net. So after finishing this night, we will again resume for our next second half. So Anderson testis can be diagnosed by clinical, but to locate the Anderson testis in case of abdominal variety, we should go for some special investigations. Among that, ultrasonography I have discussed, CT scan you can go. Then most beneficial or sensitive investigation is your MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, by which we can detect also with more specificity and sensitivity. And even if ultrasonography or CT or MRI fails to detect testis and testis, we can go for aortography with selective gonadial angiography. So all this will help us to detect or to locate the position of the Anderson testis. But again, we'll have to remember that term, whatever I told in the initial period, that is anorgasm. Means if there is complete disease of the testis, there will be no testis. So in that case, even this investigation will fail to detect the position of the testis. Then we can declare it as anorgasm. So what are the complications of incomplete decision testis? So number one complication is torsion of the testis, because this undescended testis here, whatever major gear, that is comparatively long, because it is a bigger length, which is or which should reach the bottom of the scrotums, but testis is arrested, and that's why the mesorchium is long, and at any moment, due to movements or contraction of the muscles, the testis may rotate and leads to torsion of the testis, and thereby vascularity may be compromised. And in that case, there will be severe pains. So, undescended testis, one of the most common condition is torsion. In that case, operation emergency required. Second one is epidermolysis. Here there is no torsion, but testis is inflamed along with epidermis, like normal epidermolysis. So in normal cases, it can be differentiated even by clinical examinations as well as with investigation like sonography. But in undescended testis, whenever there is torsion or epidermolysis, patient will have pain, but clinically it will be very difficult to detect. So in that case, investigation is must. Then, because of patent processus vaginalis along with the testis, they may have assessed indirect inguinal hernia. Indirect inguinal hernia. And another complication is atrophy of the testis, because whenever testis is in the intra-abdomen or lumbars or even in the inguinal canals, and that usually undergo atrophy because of irreversible destructions of the subsequent tubules and fibrosis. Then another is pain, even with absence of torsion or epidermolysis, because whenever testis is in the inguinal regions or at the sites of superficial inguinal rings, then mainly at these sites, the testes are more vulnerable to any type of trauma, even while wearing clothes or in that cases, due to trauma, the patient may have pain, mainly in these two sites. Otherwise, normal testes within the scrotums are protected by the thigh with compatible blood temperatures. Then another complication is sterility. If testes are undescended, mainly intra-abdominals, they are usually having sterility at the lateral poles. Of course, not in unilateral, of course, it is in the bilateral. So, if there is unilateral unlisted testis, right side or left side, in that case, opposite testis is normal and thereby the fertility is maintained. Otherwise, if opposite testis is also not functioning, then there may suffer from sterility. Then another last conclusion, that is malignancy, which I discussed in the pathology of the unlisted testis. So malignancy is more common whenever testis is hidden. So 30 times more common than a normal testis. Then what is the treatment of unlisted testis? I will discuss in short. So number one, hormone therapy. So hormone therapy can be tried in case of unlisted testis bilateral, if there is bilateral testis at the time of birth. And number two, if we are not sure whether it is retractile testis or unlisted testis, in that case we can treat the baby or child with hormone, that is chorionic gonadotropin hormones. It is mostly used and it is given in the dose of up to 500 units 3 times in a week for 6 weeks. So 500 units human chorionic gonadotropin hormone HCG 3 times in a week for 6 weeks, and it stimulates the testicular discharge. But again, it is not effective in all patients. Only results shown that 10% patients are benefited by this hormone therapy, where testis comes down at the age of 1 year or 2 years later. Later on, it will not worse. So initial stage of it becomes worse. But main treatment is surgical treatments. So simply remember, surgical treatment we should not do up to the age of 1 year, because normally the testis may descend down by the age of 1 year. And that's why the operation should be done after the age of 2 years and before 6 years for a proper benefits. After 6 years, after 16 years, we can do the operation. It will not be benefited from the point of view of your fertility, means sperm relationships. So operative procedures, number one is orchidopexy, is the operation by which the testis from the undescent position is brought down to the normal scrotal position, that is called as orchidopexy. It's pulling down by doing operations. That term is orchidopexy. So in the operative procedures, 2 basic steps. One is after exposing the testis at a superficial inguinal rings or inguinal rings or even in the abdominals, that is lengthening of the spermatic cord. So whatever spermatic cord, it is already kinked and shortened. So that's why this spermatic cord should be lengthened by dividing the processus vaginalis, or by doing herniatomy whenever there is presence of hernian cells, or even by mobilizing the other fibrous structures. So first of all the procedure is lengthening of the spermatic cord, and from the outside we should try to see it whether it comes down to the scrotum. Once it reaches the level of bottom of the scrotum, is able to reach, then only we should go for retaining the testis in the scrotum. So there are different procedures for retaining the testis in the scrotum. Number one is external anchorage, or that is also called as Brosh and Mead operations. So in these operations, after mobilizing the spermatic cord along with testis, it is pulled down through the normal pathway because there is an incision in the inguinal canals. And the testis at the bottom of the testis, in the tunicula within a stitch with absorbent suture is taken, then it is passed out through the bottom of the scrotum skin, and it is fixed with the skin of the upper inner thigh, so that testis doesn't go up in the masturbating period. That is called as external intercourse. This is also done commonly. Second one is your Kittle thoracic operations, not done commonly. Here just basic operation is testis is taken out through the bottom of the scrotum and it is fixed in the subcutaneous plane of the thigh. At least for 4 months. Only after 4 months, the testis is again taken out from the scrotum, means thigh, and again it is fixed in the scrotum. That is Kittle thoracic operation. Third one is umbilical operations, where testis brought to the scrotum. Otherwise, if testis is not fixed, what happens? The testis is pulled up. So, after bringing to the scrotum, to the median septum of the scrotum, it is taken up to the opposite scrotal shape, then it is fixed there. Then there is Dennis-Brown operations, in which after putting the testis in the scrotum, bottom of the scrotum, the neck of the scrotum in the upper part is made narrow, so that testis cannot go up. Then last number 5 is Darter's pause, in which the testis after bringing the scrotum, then Darter's muscle is splitted, so which the testis taken beyond the Darter's muscle and it is kept in a subcutaneous place. That is called as Darter's pause, and it is also commonly done. So external anchorage and Darter's pause, these are commonly done in our practice or in our hospitals. Then there are some other operations for only theoretically important. Those are Fowler's defense operations, procedure in which if the testis is spermatic cord is too short, their vascularity is first examined. If the testis vascularity is maintained even in absence of testicular artery by the other chemistry artery or whatever, then testicular artery is cut and divided, and thereby spermatic cord is lengthened. Not even testicular artery, even testicular venous. But another procedure in the silver procedure, what is done? This testicular artery and veins are divided, and it is anastomos along the inferior artery veins. Then it is lengthened and it is brought down to the your scrotums. So these are different procedure by which testis can be retained in the scrotums. Among that, Darter's pause and external anchorage to the bottom of the scrotum along with the thigh is most commonly performed. Then another method, that is called as two-space operations, in which in the initial stage the testis is mobilized and spermatic cord is lengthened and it is kept as such in that positions, and after 4 months or 6 months second operation is done, then remobilization is done and testis can be brought further down. That is two-stage operation. Because all these operations are not suitable for all patients, because undescended testes are having different variety. And usually most of these operations success if the testis is beyond the deep inguinal rings, means inguinal canal or superficial inguinal ring, or at the upper part of the scrotum. They are only successful. Otherwise, in case of interabdominal testis, it is very difficult even to find out the undescended testis. Then it is very difficult to take it out. In that case, even we may have to go for orchidectomy. So orchidectomy is advised. One is after the puberty, if the child comes after the puberty. Again, there should be another criteria that if opposite testis is normal. So in case of unilateral undescended testis, if the patient attempts after puberty, where opposite testis is normal, then we should go for orchidectomy, rather we should go for orchidectomy. Second is when the incompletely descended testis cannot be brought down to the scrotums. In that case, two-stage operation I have discussed. But if it is attaining on a higher S, adolescence, in that case again we can go for orchidectomy even at the first stage. Then another is orchidocoeloplasty operation, where if the testis in the deep inguinal rings or inguinal channels cannot be brought down, they also do not give consent for orchidectomy. In that case, testis should be rather pushed inside the abdomen, so that thereby you can avoid the trauma in the lateral fluids. Then recent advance in the adjacent testis, laparoscopic surgery. It is mainly helpful to detect adjacent testis in case of initial three variety like lumbar, abdominal, and iliac variety of adjacent testis. And in this case also, it is very difficult to take it to the scrotums. Only for orchidectomy for converted comes in local periods. Then the laparoscopic surgery can be done. Then another topics already I have told. Rectal testis I have discussed in relation with the adjacent testis differential diseases. Their treatment is as such nothing. Hormonal therapy can be given. Ectopic testis. What is an ectopic testis? It is one in which the testis fails to descend into the scrotum and is deviated from its normal path of descent. If testis is in the normal path of descent, then it is undescended testis. If testis is not in the scrotum, but it is not in the normal path of descent, it is deviated from the normal path of descent and returning somewhere else, that is called as ectopic testis. It's not normal path. So, comparatively, ectopic testis is less common than the undescended testis, but here the testis is otherwise normal. In undescended testis, if they come left, testis is usually damaged. And according to the logbook, the Givenogram testis, which is found by the Major Camp, which is normally having 5 tails: scrotal tails, pubic tail, perineal tails, inguinal tails, and femoral tails. So among these 5 tails, the scrotal tail is necessarily more strong, and that's why in normal individuals, the testis along with the Givenogram comes to the scrotum in 99% cases, or even more than that. And that's why there is normal testis, but less than 1% patients, if scrotal tail is not strong, it may deviate to the direction of pubic tail or perineal tails or inguinal tails and femoral tails, and accordingly, ectopic testis may be found. So, present by ectopic testis, one is superficial inguinal pouch. Here, testis comes out through the superficial inguinal ring, that it moves again anterior directions below the skin and the subcutaneous tissue. Below the superficial fossa. In between external epidermis and skin, the testis remains. Then one is pubopenile ectopia, that is ectopic testis deviating medially to the roots of the scrotum, means roots of the penis, just over the pubis bone. Then there is perineal ectopia, or testis may goes to the inguinal crease to the perineum. And in another variety, to the crural or femoral ectopia, where it is called as femoral ectopia, and testis remains over the fossa ovalis, so which the femoral hernia comes. So that is about 4 cm below and lateral to the pubic tubercle. So these 4 are the ectopic testis. Comparatively, it is easy because testis is not inside the abdomen. It is, most of the testis comes out through the inguinal canals. So the superficial inguinal canals. After that only it becomes ectopic. So what are the differentiating point from the undescending testis or undescending testis? Number one is, here testis deviates from its normal path of its descent. Second thing is, testis, in case of ectopic testis, it is fully developed and mature. The fertility function is maintained. But in undescended testis, that is not fully developed and fertility is not maintained. And in ectopic testis, Even though stomach is empty, means scrotum is empty, but it is fully developed. But in undescended testis, scrotum is not developed. The length of the spermatic cord is usually longer, which is comparatively shorter in case of undescended testis, very difficult to pull to orchidopex. Then spermatogenesis is here perfect, but there it is impaired after the 6 years of age completely. And this is never associated with any direct injury. Of course, due to like other patients, they may suffer from pneumonia, but not like undescended testis where there is invariably presence of process as present in more than 90% cases. There it is not essential. Then treatment is here operation, and it is usually successful. Like undescended testis, whatever orchidopexy is performed, here it is performed, but it can be easily performed. Once it is explored, the testis can be lengthened easily, means spermatic cord can be lengthened easily, and it can be put easily into the scrotum, but just by simply anchoring this even to the skin of the scrotum, not to the ventricle. Thus, it is normal testis having another ectopic cells. Then the most common complications of ectopic testis is liability to injury, as it is ectopic cells, or what a pubic bone, or in the thigh, or in the superficial pulse, or in the penis. That's why it is more susceptible to the injury. But other than this, like other complications of undescended testis, malignancy, or your torsons, abnormalities, those are comparatively rare. Those complications may arise like a normal testis that may suffer, not like undescended testis. They are the most common complications. Yeah. Liability to injury. As such, there is no role of such like investigations. It can be diagnosed clinically. Only nowadays, with the help of facility of sonography, we can have proper diagnosis of site regarding the ectopic testis, where it is located easily. So, this will finish the undescended testis as well as ectopic testis. And next time, I will discuss the remaining part of the scrotum. So this is finished. Thank you.